Hello, my name is Daniel Mart. Welcome back to the channel. I am an actor and filmmaker based out of South Florida. And for this one, well, first off, before anything else, Happy New Year, everyone. We all made it to 2024, so hell yeah. And yeah, for this video, I kind of just wanted to do a quick look back at everything that happened back in 2023. I once did a video just like this back in 2017, if I'm not mistaken, of like the top 10 best things that happened to me as an actor. And that's the type of video that I always wanted to do at the end of the year or the beginning of the next year. But I just, for whatever reason, I never got around to it, which is funny because 2018, 2019 definitely would have been some great years for me to talk about. 2020, 2021, and 2022, not so much. But I kind of just want to do this again. That's a video that I did enjoy making. And, you know, I just think it's great to look back on all your previous accomplishments for the year, just reflect how that has influenced you going forward. Yeah, I'm basically going to do that. My top 10 things that happened to me last year, and all of them essentially have to do with acting or filmmaking or something within this space. I am maybe going to talk about some other accomplishments at the end of the video that have nothing to do with filmmaking and acting, just, you know, some like random shout outs or honorable mentions. But this is basically all my acting and filmmaking and directing and like those type of stuff that happened to me as a creative, as an entertainer, essentially. So the top 10 things that happened within this space. So, number 10. So number 10, it's basically going to be all the nominations and awards I've won throughout the year or gotten nominated for throughout the year. And I know it seems kind of odd to put this at number 10. And part of the reason, honestly, has to be with the fact that I just kind of gotten used to it. In a sense, like, oh yeah, I won another award, or yeah, I got nominated again. And I don't mean to sound flippant about it, but that's also the reality of the situation. I've just kind of gotten used to it after a while, just winning or getting nominated. And that's not to say I'm not ungrateful. Or sorry, that's not to say I'm not grateful, my bad. But, because I am grateful, but it's just like, it's just after a while, it just kind of becomes routine. And what doesn't make it better is the fact that a lot of these nominations or awards for these festivals I'm getting are usually not in South Florida, let alone America, North America, the US, whatever. So I can't really go to these locations. I just have to, you know, I just receive my little laurel saying, oh yeah, you got nominated, or yeah, you won this award. I'm like, okay, cool. I post it on Instagram and go from there. But I still want to shout it out because, I mean, at the end of the day, just getting nominated at some of these festivals is an accomplishment in of itself. Getting the award furthermore after that, it's another great accomplishment. But for me, it's one of those things I've low-key just kind of become numb to, unless I actually go to a festival, which I don't really do because there's not many local festivals down here. You know, it's one of those things that kind of becomes routine, but I still want to shout it out. Number 9. So number 9 may be kind of a weird one, but it's actually me filming La Familia. So if you guys saw my video, behind the scenes video from a few months ago, I have plainly put, I think I forget if I said it in that video, but I definitely claim this right now, but that is by far one of the worst acting experiences I have ever been a part of. By far one of the worst acting experiences I've ever been a part of. So why is it here on the list, basically? Why is it here on the list at number 9? Basically, I'm trying to look at the positive side of it. With every single film project, I always learn something new. Whether it be something about myself as an actor or as a director, whether it be, you know, about something about the cinematic language of filmmaking, whether it be about, you know, shot composition, whatever. I always learn something new on every single film set I have ever been on. And this one, despite it being the worst film set I've ever been on, by none, despite being just the worst film I've ever done, by none, I still learned a lot. And actually part of it is something that, looking back, I think when I was at the moment, I didn't think about this as much, but looking back at it, I'm like, yeah, that really helped me further understand this, and that was that you need to have a game plan. Regardless if you're doing a 48-hour film challenge, because that's what La Familia was a part of, or you're doing an actual bigger film, you always need to have a game plan going in. And make sure you guys aren't bullshitting the script. Essentially, that's what it comes down to. Bullshitting the script as you go on. And I think there's a difference also between improvising the script and bullshitting it. Improvising it, you actually know what you're doing. Bullshitting it, you don't know what you're doing. And it's very hard to bullshit something, especially when you don't have a firm foundation, which is something, again, we didn't have. So, yeah, despite how terrible that experience was, I still learned a lot. And also, it probably gave me one of the best interviews I've ever done. with Angelica. It was honestly one of the best interviews I've done. A lot of people said, oh my gosh, that's one of my favorite interviews, or that's a really good interview of you, blah, blah, blah. So obviously there's that too. And I kind of went more into this part of it about my frustrations with the film, both in that interview and in the behind the scenes video that I did for this film. So definitely go check out those videos if you haven't already. But yeah, there's a reason why I say this is the worst film I've ever been a part of. Yet, it's still number 9. But it's only number 9 because it's not going to get any higher than this. At number 8, we have Primal Fear, which, funny enough, I may actually have to give La Familia for giving me the role in Primal Fear, funny enough. So, unlike La Familia, which is one of the worst filming experiences I've ever done, Primal Fear was actually one of the best filming experiences I've ever done. Funny enough, the co-star, one of my co-stars from La Familia was actually also in this film, Layla Starr. Great actress. I really liked working with her in both projects, to be honest. So she was, she's a very fun person to work with, and the fact that I got to work with her on 2 projects, despite how one of them turned out, the fact that I was able to work with her on 2 projects was just amazing. Furthermore, there's also a bunch of other people from this project that I have worked with, or at the very least I knew in the past, just like James, who was a cinematographer. I've met him in the past in networking events. I also worked with him 2 years ago, I guess, like it was in 2022, 2 years ago, on another project that he was a part of, and I forget her name right now, but the production manager I also worked with in the past. So, it was kind of interesting just to have us all, me know so many people from the cast and crew of this project, just, to be working with each other in some cases, or just working with each other in general. And also the fact that I just got this role, because it was very last minute. I got the role very last minute, because the original actor for this dropped out, and they just needed someone to fill the role, and I got the part because of that. So, sometimes that happens, and overall, this was a great filming experience. I got to play, I'm going to spoil it because you can watch the movie now. It's already on YouTube. But the fact that I basically played this vampire, it's not the first time I played a vampire. I think it's the second time I've played a vampire. So it's the second time I played a vampire, and just doing the makeup for it, as taxing as it was, and even though it didn't come out how we initially wanted it to turn out, it was still very gory in how it came out. And I think just overall, the effect of the movie was just, everybody liked the movie. Everybody liked with the message of the movie. And it's a horror film, which it's funny because I feel like I don't do that much horror acting wise. As a director, I think half my things is horror. But as an actor, I don't know if I do that much horror. I want to say I don't do that much horror, so that's why it was so fun to do this project as well. But I don't know, that's something I have to look back and let's see how many horror projects has Daniel been a part of in total. But yeah, overall it was just a really fun project, and the reception to the project in general, to Primal Fear, was fantastic. Everybody loved it, and has over 1,000 or 2,000 views on YouTube, if I'm mistaken. I'd have to look back, which is still good. Overall, again, from one of the worst projects I've ever been a part of to one of the best projects I've ever been a part of. Honestly, a bunch of the projects I've been a part of this year specifically have been some of the best projects I've ever been a part of. And this is this is the first one of that list. On to number 7. Number 7, it's actually this, restarting my YouTube channel. And restarting seems kind of weird because I've always been posting. There's never been a time where I took a break, but it's the fact that I'm just doing these discussion topics, these list videos again with you guys. And I've honestly really enjoyed that, because especially when I started it was right before the strikes. And then as soon as I started this channel, we had to start talking about the strikes. And then I evolved from there, and I started doing these top 10 lists back in October when this first started, doing top 10 this, top 10 that, top 10 that. Now we're back here, now beginning of the new year, and we're starting doing this. I've also made more behind the scenes vlogs for some of the projects I've been a part of, or hey, I'm going to this festival. And that's the type of content when I first started this channel in general, that was the type of content that I wanted to see in videos. When it comes to other actors or other filmmakers or whatever, that's the type of content I was always interested in. But I just initially I guess you could say I was scared to do those kind of videos, so I just kind of posted clips of me performing monologues or show scenes or whatever. And then eventually I got to a point where I think I can do this, and I started doing acting tips, acting advice, and then I stopped around 2017, 2018, because that's when my career, locally speaking, kind of blew up. It's something I just never looked back on. I always wanted to do it again, but I never took the initiative to do it again until this year. And I'm what, screw it, because there was, the first video I came out with was my thoughts on headshots and how they're overused, and that's something I've always thought about. So I'm screw it, let me start with this video and go from there. And we're here several months later. I forget when I posted that video, to be honest. I think it was August, September, somewhere around there. And it's just been like that since then already, almost 6 months, I think. It's been an incredible journey, and it's one of those things. I'm not doing this for the subscribers. I'm not doing this for the views. If they get views, great. If they get me subscribers, great. But at the end of the day, I'm doing this just for myself, because I want to, and I think that's the most important part of it all. It's because I want to. Also, I've been doing this for 10 years. If you saw one of my other videos, I've been on YouTube for 10 years, from my old channel to this channel to a few other channels I've had there in the middle. It's just been an incredible journey this whole way. I would say that initially when I first started my channel, my original channel of 10 years ago, part of it was, yes, I want to voice my opinions on whatever I have in mind. But a lot of it was also like, hopefully this gets me views, hopefully I get subscribers, hopefully I get to 1 million, you know? Like that type of stuff. And I think now I'm at a better place where like I just don't care for that anymore. My last video was just an interview of me doing with Brevin Warren for Festival Angelique. Only has 1 view, straight up. And, you know, it is what it is. You know, I've shared it around. People want to see it, cool. If they don't want to see it, cool. It is what it is. And I think the fact that I've also been able to let that go so much is very incredible and surprising, to be honest. Because long story short, I am someone who seeks out validation to a certain extent, and especially on YouTube, getting those views, getting those subscribers, that is a form of validation. But the fact that I just don't care about that here in this space is honestly very incredible. And yeah, number 7, restarting my YouTube channel and all the effects that came from that. Let's go with that. Before this goes on to a whole different type of video. Man, it's been an incredible journey. Been an incredible journey. Number 6. So at number 6, we have Airness. Airness is this theatrical project I did at FIU, and for that, I was actually the dramaturg. So for those who don't know what a dramaturg is, we basically research certain facts about the play, the background of the play, the history of the play, some of the topics that are discussed within the play. We research that so that the director and the actors can further formulate their visions, their performances, their ideas for the play better on stage to present to the masses, to the audience. And yeah, I was the dramaturg for that. And honestly, dramaturgy is something I've always wanted to pursue to a certain extent. And this isn't technically the first time I've done dramaturgy. Dramaturgy? I'm not gonna, I get confused sometimes. But it's not the first time I've done this, per se. I did it back in 2019, 2020, right before the pandemic. And I did it for Dog Sees God, which is, for those who don't know, it's basically Charlie Brown as a bunch of shithead teenagers, straight up. We were gonna do that play back at MDC, and then the pandemic hit, and then that fucked everything up, and we never did it. I did do the monologue from it because I was also cast as Matt Pigpen for that play, and I did the only monologue this guy has. I performed it and put it here on the channel, so if you guys want to check that out. But yeah, I was a dramaturg for Airness, and I love rock music and this whole thing. Airness is all about rock music. It's about air guitar, and how the characters express themselves through air guitar. So it's a lot of listening to the playlist, listening to the songs, researching these songs, and you know, researching rock history to a certain extent. And honestly, that was incredible. The one thing is, I wish I could have been more there in the room where it happens. In the room where it happens, the room where it happens, the room where it happens. But yeah, Hamilton, go from there. But I just kind of wish I would have been there a bit more in the room where it happens, to be honest. But you know, just the time that I was allowed to be in there for that extent of time, I'm really appreciative of it. And again, it's the first time I did dramaturgy. I really hope I could do it again in the future. But yeah, I mean, overall, that whole project was fun. And the other part of this project was that at the end, I was helping one of the designers design, I guess, the lobby, because they wanted to have like air guitars, like a air guitar wall of fame. And I helped out with that and choosing which guitars we can pick and all that good stuff, and we, you know, spray painting and all that. And it was just great. I really liked that. I really wish I could have kept the Nirvana guitar and the Ghost guitar, because we had like 8 guitars. I think one of them was Dolly Parton. We had a Taylor Swift one as well. We had a Robert Johnson one. We had a bunch of guitars. And the Nirvana one, the Kurt Cobain one, where he played at MTV, the air guitar he played there, and then the Ghost or Ghost Piece, yeah, some people may know them, their guitar when they performed at one of their bigger concerts. I kind of wish I would have kept those panels or those air guitars, so to speak, but I never got the chance to keep them, and I think they got thrown away, if I'm being honest, which is kind of sad. Yeah, those 2 guitars I wish I could have kept, but that's besides the point. On to number 5, I think. Yeah, Number five, it's Captive. So this is the directing project I did this year, the film directing project I did this year, and honestly, this is one of those projects where initially it wasn't taking off how I envisioned it, how I imagined it. I'll admit, I was a little bit frustrated with how it was starting off in the pre-production phase, but once we got past those hurdles at the very beginning, we just flew by. We flew by, and we did everything we wanted. We finished pre-production how we wanted. We finished filming, and currently it's in post-production. It should be done, officially done, in the next month or two at the latest. And overall, that was a great experience. It was my first time actually working with a kid actor, to my recollection in general. As a director, for sure. As an actor, I'm pretty sure it's the first time I've worked with a kid actor. I'm like almost certain, unless I'm like completely forgetting one. Yeah, it's my first time working with a kid actor. Kinley, that's the actor's name, and she was great in the little scene she had. And you know, working with Alejo Vega, who is one of my main collaborators in general in this industry. And finally directing him in turn was great, and also because this was supposed to be a much smaller project, because Alejo, he has this web series, or had this web series called 1 Minute Movies, where I mean ideally the shorts or the skits are 1 minute, but we've had episodes where are 2 minutes almost. And this project, he's like, you know what, I actually see something in this. I'm gonna extend it to an actual short film length of episodes, so it should be about 10 to 15 minutes, give or take, somewhere around there. And you know, the fact that he saw a vision for it for the project, when I didn't, because I was just kind of writing just to write and sent it to him, the fact that he saw something in that and wanted to expand on it was incredible. Overall, it's great. Working with him was great. Working with Eric, the other main actor, was great. And yeah, it's gonna come out later this year. Once it's completed, I'm gonna submit it to film festivals and just go from there. And overall, it's a great project. I really worked on it. And honestly, one of my favorite projects I've done directing-wise, in general. Hopefully it continues from here, and we'll see what happens. At number 4, we have Stuff. And no, I don't mean like stuff to be facetious. No, Stuff is literally the name of the project. So, Stuff is basically my theatrical directorial debut. And yeah, I directed a play, a one-act play. It was written by my friend Christian Torres. It was written by him. And basically, it's about this guy who is trying to get his necklace, which means a lot to him for personal reasons. He's trying to get his necklace back from his ex-girlfriend, while his current girlfriend is like opposed to this situation because she does not want him to go back to his ex because of how the relationship ended and how their relationship started. So there's a lot, there's a lot of intricacies. What's the word? I forget. But that word, there's a lot of that going into this play, and just finding the characters, finding the emotions behind that, I always found very interesting. And also, it was, like I said, it was written by one of my friends, Christian Torres. And I think very early on, I knew I wanted to direct a play by somebody that I personally knew, and he's a very close friend of mine. And yeah, the fact that I was able to do that, the fact that he allowed me to do Stuff, again, that's the actual name of the play, the fact that he allowed me to do Stuff was honestly incredible, and I'm very thankful for it. And there were some growing pains in that as well, especially because I have such a filmmaking, directing mind, that having that shift from filmmaking, directing to theater directing was a little bit of a hassle for me, especially at the beginning, especially because I was a little bit stubborn to some aspects of it. But once I fully let myself be consumed, so to speak, by that theater mind section of me, I think I was able to get a better grasp at the play after that. And overall, it was really great. And then just hearing the applause at the end of people cheering and people loving the play, like, honestly, really took a whole load off my back, because you don't know how this play is going to turn out until it actually turns out, so to speak. And that's on top of the fact I'm also adapting one of my friend's plays. And I'm not going to lie, I'm not going to get into it in this video, but I did have a lot of doubts going into this play, both directing, while directing, and after directing. And, again, the cheering at the end, having people say they loved it and all that, that was great. And honestly, took a huge burden off my back at the end. Okay, at number 3, I'm going to be honest, I'm not even sure I'm allowed to talk about this project because of NDAs. So, but I mean, look, all I'm going to say about this project, it's one of those things, I kind of don't want to mention it because of NDAs. But I do want to give it a shout out, and honestly, this was legitimately one of the best things I did this year. But all I'm gonna say is the fact that this is another project where I got cast last minute, funny enough, and honestly, it's a very emotional story. It's a very impactful story for what it is, and the fact that I was part of a project like this with a message like this was honestly incredible. I think out of any project I've done in my entire career, this for sure has the power to be the most impactful one I've done thus far. It's definitely given me one of the best characters I've done, for sure. And the opportunity, the fact that I just got to do this project, the opportunity to work on this project was great. I met a lot of great people on this set. You know, funny enough, one of the people I met on the set was, I actually worked with them beforehand in Single in Miami, even earlier that year, funny enough. And one of the people here in this one, I worked later on in Primal Fear. Overall, it was just a great set. It's one that formed a lot of connections and further reinforced other connections. Yeah, again, I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but I'm gonna put it like this: one of the best projects, one of the most impactful projects, one of the most impactful characters. I met a lot of great people there, and I'm very, very thankful I was part of this project. And hopefully at the end of this year, I could actually talk about this project and tell you, hey, this is the reception. This is the project I was talking about. Hopefully. Let's see what happens. On to number 2. At number 2, it's the fact that I was able to reconnect with the local industry. Straight up. Since the pandemic, the industry has been dead. I've talked about this in several videos. I've talked about this in several interviews I've done in the past few years. Because of the pandemic has basically put the industry at a standstill. I was, not to be cocky, but in a lot of ways, before the pandemic, I was top of the world, so to speak. A lot of people knew me. A lot of people wanted to work with me. We were working on projects. We were talking about being on this project, that project, whatever. The pandemic hit, and all those conversations ended, straight up. And a lot of those projects either never got off the ground, or if they did, they went in a different direction. Just the nature of the industry. 2020, 2021, 2022, the industry has just been at a standstill. It wasn't working to my advantage, so to speak. And this year, I noticed that a lot of stuff was beginning to open up. I noticed that the industry was finally ready to come back to life. Slowly, but ready. And I tried to go to as many events as I could to further reconnect with this industry. And honestly, that was incredible. I've seen people that I haven't seen since 2020. I've met people who I've heard about during the pandemic, but I have no idea who the hell you are until now that I met you. There's a lot of new connections now that I've made because I've been going to a lot of these networking events. It's overall been an incredible experience just reconnecting with the industry. And again, putting my foot down in this industry is like saying, no, this is who I am. This is who I am, and this is why you should know me. And again, just putting my stamp again in the industry, almost making it seem like I never left, was honestly incredible. And I really like it. And the fact that, again, I'm reconnecting with a lot of people. I'm reconnecting with a lot of people like Rachel and Mariah, for example. I'm connecting with a lot of new people like Kaz and Angelina, for example, and Dana. It's incredible. I'm so excited to see what this year has in store for me when it comes to me reconnecting with the local community, and it's only gonna go up from here. And at number 1, I have Pericles. So Pericles is this semi-theatrical project, theatrical kind of film project that I did at the very beginning of this year, but I actually started it almost 1 year ago because it was between January and February. And basically, it started off as an online Zoom rehearsal, essentially, between me and a bunch of people from here when I went to FIU, but a bunch of students from FIU partnering up with a bunch of students from Coventry University up in England, and us basically performing Pericles. And then at the end of January, or early February, I forget which one, they came here to Miami and performed Pericles. And it was just amazing. And, meeting with all those people, meeting with people like Laura and Zhao, Simona, Daisy, Adu. I'm trying to make sure I don't forget anybody. I'm pretty sure that's everybody. Yeah. And, connecting with them was just incredible. People I still talk to a certain extent to this day, 1 year later. And then with my people here, like Gabe, Christina, Santi, Justin, Mia, Rudy. It was just an incredible experience having that connection. It's something that not a lot of people do. It's something that Coventry University, they started almost like 10 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. It's something they started. I know they've done it with schools in Helsinki. Overall, that was just an incredible experience. It's one that I will always cherish no matter what. And the fact that I was able to do that, also because it's Shakespeare, so I don't do that much Shakespeare in general. So the fact that I was able to do this through Shakespeare was also incredible. It was just an overall great experience, and there was actually a documentary made about it. Tom Gorman, one of the directors, the director from the UK side of it, he actually made a documentary based off this, and there's portions in the documentary where I actually talk about this. And yeah, this is another thing that I did my own personal video on, talking about it. As soon as the documentary came out, I did a video doing this. Overall, it's just been a great time this year. Some of the best projects I've done this year, with Pericles, with Stuff, with Primal Fear, with the NTA project, I guess as we're gonna call it. You know, overall, it's been a great year. It's been a great year, and I'm very happy for how it turned out at the end. And very fast, I just wanted to mention like 2 honorable mentions. These have nothing to do with filmmaking, but I still want to shout them out. And one of them is the fact that I was hired at Banana Republic as a stylist, which is great. It's my first real job, I guess you could say, which, yeah, sounds crazy to say that I finally got my first real job at 24, but that's the reality of the situation. And then the other one I want to say is the fact that I graduated from FIU. I finally got my BA from FIU, and I graduated. And now, being an adult, you know, it has its moments where it's scary, but it has its moments where it's still beautiful. And yeah, actually, no, a third honorable mention. What am I saying? There's a third honorable mention because I also do trivia nights with my friends. So I actually host trivia nights. That's a vlog I low-key want to do one of these days, where like I'm vlogging me doing trivia night, and it's been great. Just meeting all those people was great. Last night, because actually I had it last night. Last night's trivia night was one of the wildest ones we've had in a long time. And it's something I've been doing quite literally since Halloween. So quite literally, my first day of doing this was Halloween. Overall, all of this has been an incredible experience. And yeah, I just want to give out those three honorable mentions very fast. So yeah, that's basically it for now. Thank you guys for sticking by me ever since, whether you have been here for the past 10 years or whether you've only been here recently from this video on, for example. Any amount of support helps. I like it. I love the fact that you guys are watching it. And hopefully we grow this community a lot bigger in this coming year. And yeah, that's basically it for now. This is Daniel Mart signing off.